1. My story takes place 19 years ago. I'm a female and I was 16 at the time. I'm 5'7". I was around 130 pounds. And I like to think that I'm strong, but I couldn't take on 2 young men. So it begins with my mother and stepfather going away on vacation, and leaving my 17-year-old sister and I home alone. They did this quite often. My parents were not winning any parenting awards. My sister and I didn't get along either. She was a nasty piece of work. Luckily, she decided to go stay at a friend's house while my parents were away. I was nervous about being alone, so I had my boyfriend staying with me. He was a pugnacious dickhead, but I'm glad he was there. One night, Brett and I were at my house, and we had just started messing around, when I heard a really loud knock at the door. My room was in the basement, but at the landing area between the stairs. You know how some staircases are broken up, and there's a turnaround area, that's the landing. There was a window that I could see the stairs that led up to the alcove of our front porch. I could see 2 people standing there, and just as I was peeking out to see them better, one of them saw me. I remember feeling the breath sucked out of my chest. There were 2 young men standing on my porch. It was almost midnight, and I had no idea who the hell they were. The guy that saw me let his friend know, and they both looked in the window and asked me to come to the door. My boyfriend had gone upstairs to open the door, and I remember freaking out because I had told him not to. He was one of those guys who thought he was Mr. Tough Guy and believed he could fight anyone. He was telling these guys to leave just as I joined him at the door. They saw me and called me by name and asked for me to let them in. Brett told them to fuck off. One guy, I think he said his name was Wes or Les, said something like, "Come outside, we just want to talk to you." To my boyfriend, I said, "No thanks, we're going to bed," and shut the door. I was really confused and getting very frightened. They stood on my doorstep for a few minutes, then started knocking again. Les explained to me through the door that he was my sister's friend, and that she had told him I was alone at home, and they should come by. I knew my sister, and I believed them. That did not, however, make me stupid. I told them to leave. They started kicking at the door. It was shaking, and I seriously feared that it would not hold up. I was so scared that I ran into my kitchen to call the police. I was assured that they would be there very soon, and to lock the doors and stay on the phone. Meanwhile, Brett was still yelling at them, which only served to piss these guys off more. I begged him to shut up, but he would not listen to me. I was locking all the doors and windows upstairs while Brett went down to check the doors. Down in the basement there was a huge mudroom area, and it had a thick wooden door made of 2x4 planks, kind of like a barn door. The door had a big old lock on it, some spring-loaded turnbolt, and also had a plank to set across it, like a barricade. One of the guys was pounding on this door, and Brett heard him tell the other guy to go try the back door. This stupid door was one of those 1960s things that had a happy little square window right at face level, with a little curtain across it. I was at this door trying to jam a chair under the flimsy knob when I looked up and saw the unnamed guy just looking in at me. I screamed and the dispatcher asked me if I was okay. I barely squeaked out that one of the guys was looking right at me through the window. He was older than me, probably about 20, and he was tall and he looked scary as hell. His dark eyes were drilling into me and wore this creepy, placid smile on his face. I had never seen this man before, but he knew my name. He tapped on the window with one finger, never breaking eye contact, and said, "Becky, let me in." I couldn't breathe. The knob was rattling as he was messing with it. He said again, "Let me in, Becky. I just want to see if you're okay. I just want to talk." He stared at me. I didn't say anything. I was just 3 feet from him with my back pressed to the fridge when he suddenly started beating on the door and screamed, "Let me the fuck in this house! If I have to break in, I will kill you both! So just open the fucking door!" He looked maniacal. Then there was a loud knock at the door and the man went silent. He gave me the most hateful sneer I'd ever seen. I heard shouting and he ran down the back stairs and into the woods along the back of my yard. Brett had gone to the door. It was the cops. There were 2 female officers at the front door, and one was just starting to raise her voice, asking where I was when I came to the door too. I was so relieved I started sobbing. I told them they had run away through the woods. Luckily, the woods were not deep. They actually ran along the bank of a large river and there was a bridge just up from where the woods met the road. One officer ran around the back, while one stayed to get a description and take my statement. Officer number 1 came back and spoke to officer number 2. She saw them running across the bridge. They both left in a hurry, hopped in the cruiser and sped off. I was still crying and shaking, but I was absolutely furious at Brett for riling them up. I went to make myself some tea, thinking of all the ways I could kill my sister when she got home. I had so much anger, fear and adrenaline pumping through me. I could have ripped her to shreds at that moment. 20 minutes later, the cruiser came back. There were 2 guys sitting in the back seat, and the officers wanted me to confirm it was the right guys. I looked through the window and saw them. They still looked terrifying to me. They were in cuffs and could not get to me, but I would not get close to them. Neither would look at me. I confirmed it was them, and we spoke a bit. I told the cops about my sister suggesting that these 2 men should come see me. Officer number 2 kind of mumbled, "What a bitch." I had to agree. I pressed charges for attempted forcible entry, property damage, they had broken a window in the living room, trespassing and disorderly conduct, and attempted assault. Initially, they both pled not guilty, but later admitted to some of the charges. They both got 18 months in jail and were forbidden to contact me or my boyfriend ever again, and to be at least 500 meters from me at all times. I never heard from them again. I confronted my sister about it, and of course she denied it, then laughed about it, laughed at me. She was an awful person. I have no idea what their true intentions were, as they maintained that they were just there to talk to me. I'm thankful I didn't have to find out. So too strange to me, guys who just want to talk? At midnight? Let's not meet. 2. This happened when I was around 12 years old. I'm 21 now. I'm a guy. I used to live in a big house that my parents got at a good price. It was way too big for the 3 of us, but it was home. The only issue I had with the house was the backyard. It was basically a steep hill that ran down into some woods. And at the time we didn't have a deck or anything, so we really couldn't enjoy it much. This is where the story starts. My father loves being able to sit and drink coffee on the deck in the morning, something he was missing in this house. So he called up a local company to get someone to build a deck for us, because both my father and I are worthless when it comes to anything carpentry or construction related. The guy on the phone gives him a good price and schedules a guy to come in a few days. At this time we had some friends in town staying with us, and my mother wanted to show them where I go to school. I was in a private school at the time and it was summer. She asked if I wanted to go. Absolutely not. And they told me they'd be back in an hour or so. The deck guy was already working out back when they left, but the door was locked, so it really wouldn't matter. So here I am, a 12-year-old kid at home alone, dad at work, and mom out with friends, in the middle of the day. No big deal, I'm home alone all the time. About half an hour goes by when I decide to watch some TV downstairs in the living room, which connects to the backyard. So I'm channel surfing, trying to find something loud and stupid to entertain my 12-year-old mind, when I see the deck guy's shadow through the back door curtain. I freeze up. It looks like he's just standing there, facing the door, not moving. I decide to go upstairs. Screw that. I try calling my mom. No answer. I try Dad. No answer. My bedroom was positioned right above where he was working, with my window facing out the backyard. I look out my window and he's freaking staring at me. Just looking at me with this creepy grin on his face. He slowly waves to me, which freaks me out. I hurry away from the window. I don't want him to see me anymore. 40 minutes later, I'm thirsty, so I go downstairs to get water, when I see something that terrifies me. He's standing there again, in the front door, only this time, he's doing something. He's jiggling the door handle. I can see in his hand is a screwdriver, which he is using to try and break the lock on the door. I freak, run upstairs, and try my parents on the phone again. Of course they don't answer, so I try my grandpa. Now, at the time he had a cell phone number that began 991. I guess I hit 911 by accident, because a lady picked up and asked me what my emergency was. I hung up without saying anything, fearing I would get in trouble. I'll never understand why we do this as kids. 10 minutes later, there are cops at the door. I answer the door and the discussion goes a bit like this. Cop: did you call us? Me: no. Are you home alone? Yes. Did the man out back frighten you? Balls. I don't want to get in trouble. Maybe the guy wasn't trying to get in. Maybe he was securing the deck or something. No, I'm fine. The police officers tell me if I need them, they are just around the corner. Then they leave. My mom and guests arrive back about 5 minutes later. I'm in hysterics. I thought the man was trying to get into our house. Our friend, Reggie, a huge, intimidating man, goes out back to talk to this guy. The guy just stands there smiling at him. Reggie tells him he needs to leave right now, so the guy grabs his tools and leaves, never breaking his smile. He gets in his van, drives away. My dad called the company to complain, and the voice on the other end goes quiet. Turns out that guy had been fired quite recently. He had a history of mental illness and violent offenses, and had stolen some tools from them when he left. I'm not sure if they ever found the guy, but it gives me chills to think what could have happened if I hadn't accidentally called 911. 3. My stalker story starts out like many others. I am a normal girl just trying to live a normal life. There is nothing special about me. But I seem to attract the attention of all the wrong people. Maybe this was all my fault. I'll let you guys be the judge of that. I work the midnight shift at a popular gas station in a low-income, high-crime neighborhood. We are open 24 hours and I get a lot of the crazy customers. Most of them are drunk or on some kind of drug. But my creepiest customer of all was Ted. Ted was your average, everyday semi-truck driver. On Sundays, he would come in at 1 in the morning, and the rest of the week he would come in at 3. Everyone at my job knew him by name, and would always welcome him with a smile. So he seemed like a safe kind of guy. He was very friendly, always looking for someone to talk to and laugh with. We would talk about life. I told him about my husband and the crazy way we met. He told me about his divorce, and how he got an amazing motorcycle out of it. After a while of talking, our conversation became comfortable. He was my best regular after all. I told him about my upcoming vacation, and how I had just turned 21, and planned on going bar hopping with my best friend. He told me that I was dangerous, and that he had to watch out for me. Being my sarcastic self, and knowing that I am the least dangerous person I know, I responded with, "Oh yeah? I'm so dangerous." After a while, Ted suggested that we hang out. Now remember that he is a 56-year-old single and ready man, and I am a 21-year-old timid and very married girl. We should not be hanging out. I would always tell him that my husband wouldn't like that, but he kept insisting. The thing about me is that I'm terrible at turning people down, So I just told him that I didn't know my work schedule yet, or that I would be busy on the day he wanted to hang out. He gave me his number, and I threw it directly into the trash when he left. About a week went by, and he let me know what week in May he would be on vacation, and he begged me to let him take me to the beach. I continued to tell him that I didn't know what my schedule would be for that week. Well, eventually the week in May rolled around and Ted began his vacation. He saw me at work taking out the trash, and he cornered me to tell me. Now, this part requires some explanation, so stay with me. The way we take out the trash at work is we load up all the bags into a Walmart-sized shopping cart and wheel it out to the dumpster. The dumpster is located on the side of the building, where there are conveniently no cameras, and surrounded by 3 walls of bricks and 2 large metal doors to keep the homeless people out. Opening one big metal door allows enough space for the shopping cart and my body to fit in, so that's usually what I do, easy in and easy out. I was inside the dumpster area loading all the trash bags in, and I see a vehicle pull up to me. It is 3 in the morning at this point, so it is dark and the headlights were blinding. There is an exit right by the dumpster, so a car passing me isn't unusual. But the vehicle stopped, taking away any room I had to get out and blocking me in. Then someone stepped out of the vehicle and approached me. He was just a shadow figure with lights behind him, but once he spoke I knew it was Ted. He told me he was finally on vacation and we could have our beach date at last. I didn't speak as I was frightened, knowing that I was cornered and I had nowhere to run if I needed to. He then said something that chills me through my spine. "When we're done at the beach, I will take you back to my hotel room." I froze, having never given him any reason to think that was okay. He noticed the obvious terror on my face and tried to backtrack. "You know, where we will watch movies and eat popcorn. I'm an adult. I've been to a few hotel rooms myself, and I know what 2 grown adults do in them." I didn't know what to say, so I just stayed silent. Eventually, he got the hint and left. The next day, Ted came in to see me at work, and this time he wasn't playing around. He walked straight to a display of peanuts we had at the front of the store and grabbed a bag. "Gotta have your daily bag of nuts," he said, looking directly at me as he put them on the counter. "I have a bag of nuts for you." He winked at me. My typical welcoming smile had faded, and I was done acting nice around him. I told him I hate nuts, and he looked at me like I wasn't getting the joke. Oh, I got it, and I meant what I said. I hate nuts. He walked away and grabbed the rest of his items and came up to pay. As he was about to leave, he turned around. "I forgot something. Let me go get it so I'll be ready for you." He walked right down the aisle I was afraid he was going to, and came back with a box of condoms. I could feel his stare as I rang them up, but I couldn't look at him. I would have puked if I had. In the days following, I hid from him. Having already memorized his daily schedule, I would always go to the stock cooler whenever he was about to come in. He figured this out and would open the doors to talk to me. One day I went to the bathroom and he had the nerve to bang on the door and ask why I was hiding. He even asked my co-workers where I was on the nights I wasn't at work. It got to the point where I would break into a full sprint whenever I saw his truck pull up. And I know he saw me. I wanted him to see that I wanted nothing to do with him. For a while, it seemed to finally make sense to him. He almost stopped coming in, and when he did, we didn't speak. But the creepiest of all wasn't while I was at work. I was laying in my bed about to go to sleep, and I saw my phone light up next to me. The light of my screen blinded me at first. I black out my room to help me sleep during the day. But once my eyes adjusted, I saw his face. Ted was staring at me through the Facebook notification, which let me know I had one new friend request. I have no idea how he found me. I never wore my name tag at work, and even if I did, it didn't have my last name on it. He had to do some serious searching to find me. I immediately blocked him, but unfortunately my address and phone number was public on my profile, and more than likely seen by him. I know. I shouldn't have had my info public. It has since been changed. I put in my 2 weeks right away. I had to come back to work since then, though. A girl's gotta make money, and it's hard out there. During my time away, my husband and I came into the store to get some drinks, and I saw Ted's truck pull up. Before anyone asks, yes, my husband knew everything Ted had done. I threw my arms around my husband, and he kissed me. It was a passionate, over-the-top, The Notebook kind of kiss. And Ted saw all of it. He looked at me with all the rage in the world. We quickly left after that. But a few minutes later I got a text from my coworker, who was there at the time. She said that he was loudly mumbling to himself about how he couldn't believe I would kiss all over some guy in public. But I wouldn't sleep with him. Nothing has happened since, but he could come in at any minute, and I always get a little worried at 1 and 3 in the morning. Hey everyone, Hellfreezer here, and thank you very much for listening to 3 True Scary Stories, episode 203. Think for a second, is that the right number? Yes it is. Okay, good. Thanks very much to everyone who allowed me to use their stories in this video. That is super appreciated, especially given how scarce stories seem to be becoming on Reddit at the moment. I think what it might be is, I don't know if anyone's using Reddit currently, but it seems way more buggy than it used to be. It seems to be almost every page I click, or almost every other page I click, I've got to reload at least once or twice before I can get it to actually show up. So what I'm thinking is happening here is people are trying to upload stories and it's just they're being rejected because the system's all buggy. Yeah, hopefully whatever the problem is, they'll fix it soon. Bright side is, I have figured out how to access the archives, which I'd been doing on Let's Not Meet for a while, but I've also figured out how to access the archives just across the site. So I'm going to be looking through the TIFU archives as well, because last week there weren't many stories for me to use. There were stories, but some of them, they just weren't the right kind of story. They weren't the funny ones that I needed. And so far this week it looks to be pretty much the same. But I'm going to have a look through the archives and hopefully I'll just send a bunch of messages out to folks. And hopefully from there I can find some good stuff so we can have a nice funny video on Saturday. Because the glitch video was a nice change. But I think we all enjoy... Well, I say we all enjoy, they don't get as many views, but I think many of us do enjoy the funny videos on a Saturday. It's a nice little break. Okay, and with that I'm going to head off for now. So until next time, thank you very much for listening, and take very good care of yourselves.